In a mystery stockroom, Damien comes to see a pack manager for his portion of unlawful merchandise to sell. The manager believes Damien's acting too jumpy and approaches him to make sense of that he's heard there's a narc in the posse. And when Damien plays the guiltless, the supervisor admits he realizes Damien is a secret cop. Thinking of himself as gotten, Damien takes out his weapon and starts protecting himself against the approaching hooligans, utilizing the two slugs in hand-to-hand fighting. In the wake of pounding a gather that assaults him, Damien ventures back and doesn't see a vehicle coming, so he's hit rather seriously. Luckily he's sore yet at the same time cognizant, and he pursues the supervisor to capture him, just to hear that when the pack found out about Damien's actual personality, they likewise found out about the presence of his better half. Scared of the ramifications, Damien surges back to his home. Yet at the same it's now past the point of no return. His better half is dead. Years after the fact, Simon is one more class at the neighborhood school when he sees an understudy is absent for the second time in succession. Different adolescents make sense of this kid has succumbed to enslavement, and Amelia, who used to be dependent as well, attempted to make him see reason, however she was disregarded. At that point, Simon's child Camel gets a call from the missing kid's mom, tragically illuminating him that the understudy has been viewed as dead. This isn't whenever this first has occurred in this school. The organization disapproves of unlawful merchandise being sold on its premises. Fed up with losing understudies to compulsion, Simon calls his closest companion Damien to get his assistance. However, Damien allows the voice message to get the message, since he is struggling himself. Since he lost his significant other, he began to rely upon liquor to an extreme, and he got terminated from the police force. These days he's only a boozer. Anyway, when dusks, Damien chooses to get himself together and visit Simon to listen to him. Simon fills him in regarding the issues the school is going through, while Camel hears from a lobby. Yet Damien will not help, making sense if he couldn't help himself. A while later, Damien goes to a store to purchase more liquor, where three hooligans attempt to take his waller. Damien first requests it smoothly. However, since they don't treat him in a serious way, he promptly thrashes them by snatching things from around the store. One more customer is irritated by the disturbance and provides Damien with a container of whiskey, just to inspire him to rapidly leave. In the meantime, Simon visits a stockroom at a location he heard one of the children referencing. However, when he arrives at the entryway, he's found in the act. The following morning, Damien awakens to see wrecking news on the television. Simon was tracked down dead in the stockroom. On account of the position he was found in, the police are saying he was the one behind the activity and that he completed things himself, since he felt remorseful over the deficiency of his understudy. Damien can perceive his companion as being outlined, so he goes to Simon's home to explore, disregarding every one of the columnists in the city. He will enter in light of the fact that he actually has a couple of mates in the power, and will comfort Simon's significant other, guaranteeing her that she's more right than wrong to suspect her better half was outlined. At the point when a criminal investigator ridicules Camel for having a criminal father, Camel attempts to go after him. Consequently, Damien needs to cut in and make sense if he's simply a young person and Shock 4 save him from getting captured. In a little while, Damien concludes he should clean his dearest companion's name and reaches out to an obscure companion to gain counterfeit papers. Then he goes to the school and professes to be an instructor that has come for a meeting to take Simon's situation, which starts rather gracelessly when the secretary cautions him not to apply on the grounds that the school's excessively risky. Their discussion is interfered with by Head Lesek, who enlists Damien on the grounds that he's the main candidate and commitments he'll be protected in light of the fact that he's employed a security group. He additionally requires his representative Agata, who will be in control, to show Damien around the spot when he begins to work tomorrow. The following day, Damien shows up at the school and sees Jero take a few blossoms from the remembrance for the dead understudy, so he attempts to make him set them back. Jero doesn't take this well and requires his group mate Mammoth to whip Damien. However, Mammoth is as yet a modest kid under friendly tension and scarcely moves by any means. Before things get to raise, security pioneer Chmielski appears with his men and sends the adolescents to the primary's office. He needs to stand up to Damien too. However, Agata before long acts the hero and makes sense if he's the new instructor. A while later, Agata shows him around and acquaints him with their colleagues, including science instructor Stefan, prior to taking him to meet his class, in spite of the fact that Camel isn't returning to school yet, in light of the fact that he'll require a chance to lament. The class is somewhat raucous, yet Damien quickly takes care of them by taking an understudy's telephone and not succumbing to their insults. However, one high schooler isn't as devoted. Frogface continues irritating a colleague and disregarding Damien's alerts until Damien must choose the option to throw him out. Frogface will not go, so Agata sends Chmielski to accompany him away. On out, Frogface takes steps to meet Agata later. By the day's end, Agata's at the parking area when she's abruptly drawn closer by Frogface and his packmates, who have taken her vehicle keys and presently get her fully intent on seeking retribution. Close by, Damien finds somebody has sliced his tires, and one more educator offers to bring him back home. When they enter the parking area, they see Agata at serious risk, and Damien acts the hero, effectively whipping every one of the hooligans, regardless of whether one of them has a weapon. Damien winds up with an injury on his hand. However, it's not even close to the point of halting him, and Frogface takes off in dread. Agata takes Damien back into the school to swathe his hand and get some information about his past. So to try not to respond to questions, Damien shows her how to safeguard herself when a crook snatches her. In the meantime, the hooligans take Frogface to see Jero, who is one of the many individuals that sell unlawful merchandise at school, compelled of a strange man in a bicycle. At the point when the person draws nearer and removes his protective cap, he uncovers to be Chmielski, whose security organization is a reason to have his men nearby. Both Jero and Chmielski are irate on the grounds that Frogface owes them cash and caused problems for needing to get back at Agata, meaning a beating is altogether. Jero requests that Mammoth make it happen so he can at last move past his modesty and really be one of the guys, which he's just joining, since he needs to have a place someplace. The following morning, Damien shows up at school to see his vehicle being towed. In the educator's room, everybody is taking a gander at the surveillance cameras, observing Damien's triumph, and Lesser makes sense if he is paying for the towing and new tires as much obliged. Chmielski's dubious of Damien being a particularly incredible contender, yet Damien keeps up with his account of simply being an instructor. Subsequently, Damien goes to the homeroom just to find the security film has released, and presently every one of the understudies are watching it as well. They're really eager to have him as an instructor and continue giving him questions, including requesting tips to safeguard themselves. Damien considers the thought entertaining and takes the class to the exercise center, offering an arrangement. In the event that they can beat him, there won't be a last, most important test. Clearly they don't get to land even one hit. Yet essentially they have a good time, and during the experience, Damien sees Camel comes to observe just to leave, when he understands who the educator is. Damien follows Camel to the changing space to clear up he's hanging around for track down signs and demonstrate Simon's honest. However, Camel responds by hopping on him, incensed in light of the fact that Damien didn't help his dad when he really wanted him the most. Amazingly, Damien concurs and makes sense if he feels liable for Simon's passing. It could be past the time to save him, however he needs to save the understudies, and this causes Camel to acknowledge to keep quiet. By the day's end, Damien's vehicle is back in wonderful condition, and he requests that Agata go out for a beverage. They have loads of fun together at a bar. However, things get tense when Damien sees a few men tossing slurs at two young ladies in affection. Damien comes with all due respect, and when the men don't ease off, another battle begins. Since these folks are so inebriated, Damien messes with them as opposed to beating them rapidly, putting a grin all over. Thereafter, Agata welcomes Damien to her place, where they show up previously sharing kisses. At the point when Agata goes to the kitchen to get some wine, Damien's out of nowhere smacked by a flood of recollections of his better half, showing the sweet minutes and the upsetting end. Damien concludes he can't do this now, and gets out without saying a word, passing on Agata to arrive at the most terrible resolutions. Returning, Damien sees Mammoth offering the merchandise and takes the risk to reprimand him for it, reminding him he has a mind and doesn't have a place in a group. Damien likewise attempts to get some intel. However, Mammoth makes sense if he can't express anything prior to taking off. At some point later at school, Emilia sees one of her companions purchasing merchandise as well, and attempts to caution her against it, since she knows how awful it tends to be. Jero quickly intrudes on the discussion and sends his folks to snatch Emilia, inciting Camel to come to save her. Tragically, he doesn't have the foggiest idea how to battle, and the gangsters immediately beat him up. Then Jero involves him to act as an illustration of what will befall anybody that thinks for even a moment to mediate from now on. At the point when Damien shows up at the school, Agata treats him with cold impressive skill, rather than the fellowship from the previous evening. When class begins, Damien finds Camel's face all beat up. However, the youngster just says he fell, and no one considers squealing on Jero. Damien reprimands them for not safeguarding themselves, but rather the understudies remind him they don't have the foggiest idea how. Not entirely settled to help them, Damien welcomes the gathering to come to his old dojo after class. The spot is needing redesigns, and that nearly makes the understudies need to stop, yet Camel offers his help, and that moves everybody to remain. With everybody's assistance, the dojo gets cleaned in only 2 or 3 days, and Damien invests additional energy into showing everybody his best moves, being really glad to perceive how rapidly they learn. At school, he keeps on training history and attempts to interface with Agata, yet she actually deals with him like a colleague and won't hang out. In his available energy, Damien follows a portion of the gangsters to see where they pass on their merchandise, and has the opportunity to call the police on them. Presently, all that merchandise is seized by the law. Damien feels somewhat satisfied with himself for this accomplishment. However, he's not mindful of Chmielski watching out for him also. During the following posse party, Jero and the others concur they should take care of Damien. In a little while, after the most recent instructional course is finished, Damien stays in the dojo to prepare without anyone else. When he's out of nowhere moved toward by a lot of men wearing ski veils. They're equipped with sticks and preferred contenders over the normal road hooligan, Yet Damien actually figures out how to beat them all with his strong abilities, in spite of the fact that he's sore and draining by MI. The following morning at the school, Damien sees Chmielski's security group showing a few serious injuries. Lastly comprehends they're one of the guys. However, until further notice, Damien just prods Chmielski without flaunting his hand. Chmielski is enraged that they're being played with this effectively. However, Jero guarantees he has a plan to deal with it. After class, Jero and the pack visit Emilia's father, with the reason they need to fix an old watch, which they took from Simons the night he was killed. The unfortunate man needs no difficulty and requests that they leave. Yet when Jero is going to get fierce, Emilia appears. In the wake of sending her dad to the next room, she faces Jero, who snatches her by the hair and requests she team up to lose her father. The following day, Damien shows up at the school to track down everybody, feeling extremely dim. Emilia has blamed him for exploiting her in the dojo, and presently Lesser is terminating him. Agata and the understudies have zero faith in him any longer, and as the security group accompanies Damien out of the structure, Camel comes after him to affront him for having fooled him into accepting he was a hero. Damien doesn't answer since he realizes his assertion will not be accepted. In the meantime, Emilia is so wrecked with culpability that she falls once more into her old dependence. At night, Damien visits her to attempt to comprehend what occurred, and Emilia makes sense of the danger against her father. Damien feels remorseful about this as well, and removes the merchandise from her. However, before he can accomplish more, Emilia's father appears and throws Damien out. A short time later, Damien visits Frogface at the medical clinic to attempt to inspire him to talk, persuading him to team up by showing him his own appearance, and that implies he's now been deserted by his posse. Eventually, Frogface admits they don't bring the merchandise into the school from outside, they make it inside the school's labs. Damien hurries to see Agata, expecting to share this colossal sign. Yet Agata actually believes that nothing should do with him and throws him out. While she pivots to call the police, Damien takes her school keys, since she approaches the entire structure. At the school, Damien finds the safety officers are still near, and needs to sneak around cautiously, concealing in a storage room, when important to try not to be seen. When the gatekeepers are far removed, he slips into the science lab, where he finds confirmation that the merchandise is being made there. Unexpectedly, Damien hears a means and conceals with perfect timing to see Stefan coming in light of the fact that it turns out he's the one responsible for cooking. Luckily, Stefan leaves rapidly to assist the security men with stacking the van, and Damien will take a couple of photos of what's happening before he gets into his vehicle and follows the van. When Damien comes to the distribution center, the van has previously been purged, and he gets gone after by the security group. Yet he effectively pummels them by taking their own taser and utilizing it against them. A while later, he calls Agata and leaves her a message in her voice message, making sense of everything. The following day, Damien presents the photos to Agata and Lesser, who brings up that the photos are foggy and bad proof. This is the justification for why Damien didn't go to the police. At the point when Lesser calls Stefan and Chmielski to check, Stefan simply says he worked late on an investigation for class, and the security group assisted him with clean increasing. Chmielski demands Simon was the genuine seller, and Damien succumbs to the trap. Yet the gatekeepers stop him before he can get savage. Damien is thrown out. However, Agata stays dubious, so she goes to see Emilia, whose culpability causes her to admit everything. Afterward, Damien gains admittance to the school surveillance cameras and finds they erased all the recording of the merchandise being moved. Feeling like he's terrible control of the case, Damien starts drinking and possibly stops when Agata drops by to apologize for not trusting him. Damien at long last offers his entire story with her, and Agata kisses him to comfort him prior to consenting to help. Then, at that point, the pair visits Stefan to request a few responses. However, Stefan doesn't give them any names. He just makes sense of he's cooking for a posse, since they undermine with killing his better half. Out of nowhere, Chmielski appears on his bicycle and shoots Stefan. Yet he just shoots Damien a menacing glare prior to heading out. The following day at school, Lesek requests that Agata clean Stefan's storage, while he has a gathering with Emilia, who has come to admit. In Stefan's storage, Agata is stunned to track down a secret journal with notes about the merchandise and saves it for herself. A couple of hours after the fact, Camel and different understudies go to the dojo to apologize to Damien on the grounds that Emilia came clean with them. The cheerful gatherings unexpectedly hindered by a call from Agata, illuminating them that Emilia was gone after, and presently she's in a state of unconsciousness. At the point when the gathering comes to the clinic, Agata shows Damien the journal, which incorporates a guide of the stockroom and where to find the covered-up merchandise. Later at night, Damien advances toward the distribution center, ignorant that Chmielski is as yet watching out for him. At the point when he shows up, Damien quickly takes out the main gatekeeper he sees, then pivots to be surprised by Agata, who has come to help. With the guide from the notepad, they effectively find the merchandise. However, soon they end up encompassed by Chmielski, Jero, the pack, and one colossal shock. The real chief behind the activity is Lesek, who has abandoned the flow age since they couldn't care less about their examinations. Lesek insults Damien by showing him Simon's watch, yet the discussion is intruded on by Mammoth, who has seen the mistake of his way and carried the entire class with him. A battle between the two groups starts then. At that point, and Damien watches proudly the way in which his understudies beat up the posse, including Jero. Chmielski is taking off, so Damien pursues him, stirring up some dust with the two of them outfitted. Damien's triumphant, so Chmielski chooses to tear wires from the wall to attempt to shock him, yet Damien incapacitates him with a kick. At the point when Camel appears and occupies Chmielski, Damien pushes him against the wires and shocks him to death. A while later, they go searching for Agata, who has been caught by Leszek. The chief has a weapon out. However, Damien couldn't care less and hits him at any rate, in a flash delivering Agata. When they pivot, Leszek shows he's as yet cognizant, and takes out one more firearm from his sock. However, before he can shoot, Camel discharges a compartment of toys on top of him, presently getting him for good. Damien utilizes the opportunity to recuperate Simon's watch and hands it to Camel as a memory of his dad. While they watch, the police and the ambulances show up to deal with every one of the youthful legends.
Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.